Taipei is by far the best city that I've been to for cycling, and it's easy to see why. There's 300 kilometers of dedicated bike paths and shared sidewalks. The city is dense, so people don't have to cover large distances, and the bike share system is excellent. Key to getting normal people, that is, people who aren't bike nuts like you and me, to travel via bike is infrastructure, and Taipei definitely has that. Taipei is a unique city when it comes to cycling, but riding here for hardcore cyclists is an entirely different experience compared to casual riding. Now let's take a closer look at Taipeis Infrastructure to see how you can best use it to your advantage when riding here. Although Taipei has all of this excellent infrastructure, it's not perfect. Yes, it's excellent that more people are able to get on bikes, but as a more hardcore cyclist, that isn't always a good thing. The bike lanes are on the sidewalk. There's a lane for pedestrians and there's a lane for cyclists. Sidewalks can be quite crowded, meaning if you're a more hardcore cyclist, you'll often find yourself waiting for opportune moments to pass people, or else you'll just have to go with the leisurely flow and suck it up. Another problem with the sidewalk paths are the pedestrians. Yes, pedestrians and cyclists each have their own designated lanes, but they don't really matter. Maneuvering around and waiting for pedestrians to pass is just a fact of riding here, which is exactly why I got a bell. The third problem with the sidewalk bike paths are the intersections. Cars and scooters turning right will come in really hot on the intersections and oftentimes don't even check, as it's just implied that pedestrians and cyclists should be the ones checking for vehicles if they don't want to get hurt. This wouldn't be a problem if you're riding at a leisurely pace, since you'll have plenty of time to check the intersection before passing through. But if you're flying through intersections and screaming can't stop, won't stop like I normally do, you'll likely earn a trip to the hospital if you're on the sidewalk path. So what are we reasonably dangerous cyclists to do if the sidewalk paths are cramping our style? Well, if you want to be edgy and live fast and take chances, I have good news for you. Taipei is ranked number 24 in the world for traffic congestion, which is ahead of San Francisco, New York, London, and Rome, but not quite as bad as LA. As a result, traffic is slower, making it easier for cyclists to ride with the flow of traffic. Second, Taipei ranks number 1 in the world for scooter density. With all these scooters comes scooter infrastructure, which is perfect for cyclists. Now let's go play in Taipei's rush hour traffic to see what it's like to ride here. Coming from the US, Taipei's traffic just looked like a mess to me. But if you take a look at a map of Taipei, you'll see exactly how the streets are organized. First, there are freeways that are elevated above the city's roads. If you're on a bike, you won't have to worry about this unless you're the fastest cat in town and can hang with the 80 to 100 km/h traffic. Second, there's the main roads in the city, which is where I'll do most of my riding. Like a lot of other cities, these roads are organized on a grid system. Third, there's smaller roads which will connect alleyways to main roads. And fourth, there's the lanes, which are the alleyways that run through the city blocks. Unlike the alleyways that I'm used to, the lanes in Taipei are the lifeblood of the city. And they're not just a place to store dumpsters and meet Gary wearing a trench coat from Craigslist. Sorry about that, it is properly raining now and I need to relocate to protect my camera. As I was saying before being so rudely interrupted, in the alleyways you'll find shops, residences, restaurants, and the famed night markets with stinky tofu, or rather, the stinky tofu will find you. The alleyways are great if you want to dip out of the hectic main road traffic and take it a bit slower to regain your bearings. They're also great if you just want to grab a quick bite to eat. Once back on the main road, there's a couple of things to keep in mind to, one, not get yourself killed, and two, use the infrastructure to your advantage so you can ride faster. With all the scooters here, there's a few rules of the road that indirectly help out cyclists. First, on a lot of the main roads, there's two types of lanes. There's a fast lane which has a speed limit of 50 kilometers per hour, which is about 31 miles per hour. Mostly cars will drive here. And then there's the slow lane, which is dedicated for scooters, and it has a speed limit of 40 kilometers per hour, which is about 25 miles per hour. The scooter lane is a godsend since it speeds up travel times and it gives you a cushion of space from the cars. Second rule is the left turn etiquette. Most two-wheel vehicles aren't allowed to make a direct left turn. Instead, they keep right and sit inside of the scooter box. Making a left turn here on a bike means that you have to wait for 2 consecutive straight lights instead of just 1 left turn light. But at the same time, it also means that you don't have to make a mad dash across 3 lanes of traffic to make it to the left turn lane. Thirdly, behind the left turn scooter box and behind the crosswalk is the straight scooter box. Here, scooters or bikes can filter ahead of cars at a red light in order to get a head start when it turns green. It's safer this way, and it's just fun getting to cut everybody in traffic. And the last rule of the road to keep in mind is that it is illegal to make a right turn on a red, or at least mostly illegal. I see people do it from time to time. And it looks like the rule of no cup, no stop is alive and well in Taiwan. These are the rules of the road, and again, if you want to ride fast through traffic, the scooter infrastructure is excellent for doing just that. With that, here are some tips to best use the infrastructure to live fast, take chances, run reds, kill peds. Well, maybe you shouldn't run reds and kill peds, and maybe you shouldn't even run greens for that matter. In my short stay in Taiwan, just about every day, I've seen people just flat out blow through red lights. And I think one reason why so many people run reds here are the light timers. These timers are a double-edged sword in that they're really convenient when you're waiting at a red, since they let you calculate how many bites out of your burger you can take or how long you have to fub on your phone. And on the greens, they let you calculate whether you can make a light or not. Problem is that they let you calculate whether you can make a light or not even if it's red. Because after a light turns red, the intersecting light will also stay red for a couple of seconds, giving people a moment to safely pass through the intersection when the light is red. We run into problems here because people's calculations aren't always correct. Thankfully, I haven't had a run-in with anybody's serious miscalculations, but I did have a what the f moment when my light was green for about 3 seconds and a truck intersecting just flew past. On the bright side, the light timers let you know how long you have to track stand and look cool. Awareness and concentration are key for riding in traffic because no matter how many times you give people the finger, if you're on a bike, you will always be at the bottom of the traffic food chain. Unless, of course, there's somebody on a motorized unicycle. Riding in traffic can seem chaotic. Scooters and cars don't always signal or even check blind spots, which makes awareness and concentration that much more important. I'll do most of my riding in the scooter lane. The key to riding safely and quickly here, or reasonably dangerously, is to stay with the flow of traffic. Once you fall below the speed of traffic, sprinting back up to keep with the flow is so much more difficult. Luckily, if you're a decently fast rider, drafting makes it easy to stay with the flow. Drafting off scooters allows you to cruise at around 40 kilometers per hour with minimal effort. In the event that you find yourself falling out of a scooter slipstream, which is that pocket of air behind a vehicle where you'll experience much less wind resistance, you can pick up speed by drafting off of a slower scooter slipstream on the right side of the lane. Then you can take a peek behind you to see if there's a scooter coming up, and once that scooter passes you, you can merge right into that faster scooter slipstream to keep with the flow of traffic. If you don't have a slower scooter slipstream available, you can always just suck it up and sprint into a faster scooter slipstream. Once you catch up to the slipstream, you'll essentially get sucked in, and the gap between you and the scooter will close effortlessly. And to make catching up to a slipstream as easy as possible, bend your elbows or get into the drops to make your profile as aerodynamic as possible. Something to keep an eye out for are scooters with 2 people. These are much slower and will have larger slipstreams, making them easier to draft off of. Something that you mostly don't need to keep an eye out for is the door zone, which is that 3-foot zone from a car where an open door can give you a complimentary broken collarbone. Because scooters are the norm here, drivers actually check to see if they're going to clothesline a scooter rider or a cyclist before opening their door. Something that I'm still getting used to are the Proxemics, which is just a fancy word for people's sense of personal space. Being American, I'm used to having a pretty big personal bubble of about 3 to 4 4 feet. Because of the population density in Taiwan, people's personal bubbles are much smaller, at about 2 feet or less. Just about every time I go out for a ride, a vehicle will pass straight through my fat American personal bubble and give me a good startle. On the bright side, this means that people are very aware of the amount of space that their vehicles take. People tend to have good judgment when it comes to driving closely to other scooters and cars, which makes it feel safer to pass through these really tight spaces in traffic. Something else to know here is that honking normally doesn't mean F you as it does in most Western countries. Honking usually means that you should be aware that a vehicle is coming through. The last tip for riding in Taiwan is that you should expect to wait at a lot of red lights, since the density of traffic just doesn't allow you to make it to a light when it's timed. Also, some of the red lights can last for over 90 seconds, which can make riding in the alleyways a faster option. Riding in Taipei's alleyways also comes with a set of rules and infrastructure that you should keep in mind in order to ride as efficiently as possible. The lanes or alleyways are tighter and have much more intersections than the main roads, which encourages slower riding. Since some alleyways are just big enough to let one car through, there's an unspoken rule that the bigger vehicle has the right of way. Yes, it is the law that cyclists and pedestrians have the right of way, but if a truck is honking at you to give way in a tight alleyway, you better give way. As a rule of thumb, alleyways are one way and alternate direction. To ride as efficiently as possible, ride with the flow of traffic and don't salmon. There's a lot of intersections in alleyways which are denoted by these crisscross boxes where pedestrians can cross whichever way they dang please. To help with the flow of traffic, there's usually a mirror at each intersection so you can tell if somebody is passing through. If you learn how to read the mirrors, you won't have to slow down at each intersection and you can just smoothly ride on through. Lastly, some alleyways have morning and night markets. These are packed with people, and just don't even bother trying to ride through them and just go around them. Remember to first keep your wits about you as to not die, 2, use the scooter infrastructure to ride as quickly as possible, and 3, dip out of the main road and into the alleyways if traffic is too heavy. For the more hardcore cyclists, Taipei's infrastructure makes riding here a unique experience. It looks like a mess at first glance, but once you learn how to go with the flow of traffic, it's a whole lot of fun. If you're new to the channel and you want fixed gear videos just like this one sent to your sub box every week, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button to become a subscriber. This video was suggested by a super subscriber on Patreon. I don't know if you're cool with me saying your name, but you know who you are. And if you've already ridden your bike today, why don't you watch another fixed gear video? And if you haven't ridden your bike yet, stop watching me right now, close your device, hop on your bike, and have a reasonably dangerous day.